Hello, my name is Alanna Bielawski, and today I'm going to be teaching you about bandaging. We bandage our horses for a multitude of different reasons, but our two main reasons are both for protection while during work and for wounds both interior and exterior. First, we'll start with a polo wrap. We use polo wrap during work to help stop interference between the two horses' legs as the horse is moving. While wrapping, you always want to wrap from the inside to the outside of the horse's leg and front to back. So to start, you take the edge of your polo wrap and you put it on the inside of your horse's leg, right underneath its knee. As you wrap, you want to make sure that you have even pressure and that you're looping down about an inch as you move down. The entire time, even pressure all the way down the horse's leg and with little to no wrinkles. Once you make it to the bottom of your horse's leg, you want to angle downwards and cup your horse's fetlock, and then begin to angle your way back up. And like going down, you want even pressure and about an inch, and you make your way back up your horse's leg. Once you reach the end of your pole, there will be Velcro, and you unvelcro it, pull your wrap around one more time, and secure it to the Velcro. And there you have a polo wrap. You should be able to stick one finger in comfortably on both the bottom and the top to make sure that it's not too tight. Next, we'll do a standing wrap. We use standing wraps after the horse has worked very hard, and we're trying to prevent swelling and helping stabilize the tendons and things in the horse's legs after they've worked very hard. To do a standing wrap, you'll need a pillow wrap and a track wrap. First, you'll start with the pillow wrap, and like with a polo wrap, you want to start this was a little bit longer, but you want to start on the inside and wrap around, and wrap right around the knee area. Like so. The way I like to do my standing wraps is then I take my track wrap, overlap it just a little bit, and start to wrap with my track wrap. And just like before, inside to outside, front to back, with even pressure. And it's okay to get these a little tighter because these are how we prevent swelling, and so you'll need the pressure on the horse's leg during the time that the standing wrap is on it to help keep that swelling down and provide support for the tendons. You want to also make sure even pressure is very important in a standing wrap. Now you don't want to go past the pillow wrap. You want there to be at least about an inch of pillow wrap on both the bottom and the top of a standing wrap because we don't want the track wrap touching the horse's actual leg. And again, like with the polo wrap, there should be Velcro that you can use to attach. And if you're worried about your track wrap letting go, you can also take some masking tape and put tape around your wrap. Again, you should be able to fit a finger in the top and the bottom, and you can do a flick test to make sure that your pressure is even all the way up and down. Before you do any bandaging on your back legs, you always want to make sure that you get the tail out of the way so you don't start wrapping the tail into your bandage. So, the easiest way to do that is tie up the tail. My favorite way of doing this is taking the whole tail like this, and I kind of run it through my hand so I make it a little bit skinnier, and I wrap it around my hand, and then I pull the end through. Hang on, I'm going to come up a little bit farther. Wrap it around my hand, and then pull the end through, kind of in like a little slip knot, and then you want to leave the end in the knot so as to not get in there, and then you can wrap and not be interfered with the tail. Next, we're going to combine a stacked wrap and a wound wrap. So a lot of the times with our stacked wrap, we only do them if we have a wound that's up higher on a leg. We do a stacked wrap when we have something that's up higher on a leg because we can't just do a normal wrap because it'll fall down the leg. So to do a stacked wrap, you need 2 different pillow wraps, 2 track bandages, and a 3rd track bandage that is longer than the rest that you'll put over everything. And I'll break this down into 2 pieces. So the first piece that you need to do is called the anchor. So you'll need a pillow wrap and a track wrap. And to do this, It's just like a normal standing bandage, however, it's lower. So you'll want to come down as low as you can possibly get. And you want to do this nice and tight. And again, inside to outside, back to front to back. And you want to do it nice and tight and as low, because this will give us the anchor and the support for then the bandage that will come up higher. So then you take your trap, you overlap, and you start to wrap it. And again, it's just like a normal standing, it's just lower. So it might be a little weirdly shaped. You want even pressure, no wrinkles, even though that might be a little hard to do because of the shape of the horse's leg. If you kind of reach the top like I did, and then still have a little bit more, you can start to angle your way back down, just as long as you don't get all the way back down to the bottom of the horse's foot. And then Velcro it, secure it, and that is the anchor part of your bandage. All right. Now we're going to move on to the wound part of the bandage. And this is why we're doing a stack bandage in the first place. So we're going to imagine that there's a laceration about like right here on the horse's leg. And so we're going to put a bandage on this and then put the standing wrap over it to keep it all secure. So to do a wound bandage, you'll need a Tofa pad, which looks like this within the package. And outside of the package, it kind of looks like this. It's cotton covered in some plastic. And then you'll need cling gauze, either brown or white. And of course you'll need some sort of ointment or whatever you're putting on the wound. This could be a couple of different types of ointments, you know, it'll depend on what type of wound or anything like that. And we won't be using any actual ointment today in order to save materials for when we have real wounds instead of hypothetical situations. Alright, so now we'll apply the wound bandage. So you'll take your Tofa pad. In a real situation, put ointment on the pad, and then put the pad right over wherever your wound is. And then you'll take your cling gauze and wrap it just like it's a normal wrap. It's going to be very slippery right now because I don't have any ointment on it. But what you're going to do, just wrap it like normal. Inside, outside, front to back. Wrap it around a couple of times. I won't go around a whole bunch because I don't want to use gauze that we won't actually use. And then you can cut it. And then you can just tuck it in. What you really want to do with the gauze is just make sure that the pad stays in place while you're then wrapping over it. Now that you have your wound bandage applied, you can do your second part of your stack bandage. So you'll take a pillow wrap and a track bandage and start wrapping like normal. Now you want to overlap with your anchor bandage just a little bit in order to get that support. And then wrap just like normal. And now because of the hock, I'll be starting my track bandage a little bit lower and wrapping around. And I'll get back to the hock later after I anchor this on a little bit more. Like that. Okay. Now because his laceration was low enough, we can just wrap like normal and not worry about getting pressure on his cock. There we go. Now that you have both your stacked parts, you take your last really long track bandage, you want to take it and you're going to wrap the whole thing. You're going to start in the middle here. Ooh, Otis, good boy. Make sure that your horse is ready. You're going to start in the middle, right where they both overlap. You're going to wrap around. Again, front to back. You're going to want a lot of pressure and even pressure all through here. You're going to go down first. Might kind of, even with a really long one, run out of bandage, but that's okay. You just want to cover as much as you can, and then secure it nice and tight. And now because there is so much of this being covered, this is really a good time to use some masking tape. You'll take a piece of masking tape and attach it to the end of the Velcro, and you want to wrap it around the leg in order to give some more connection to make sure that it won't come undone while the horse is in the stall. The last bandage we'll do is a hoof bandage or a hoof wrap. Now we usually bandage a horse's foot when they're having problems with their feet. So that might be a hot nail or an abscess, or if a horse loses its shoe, we'll put a hoof bandage on it in order to give it a little bit more cushion so they're not walking right on the sole of their foot. Now, before you do anything with a hoof bandage, you have to create a duct tape square. Now, to do a duct tape square, it's pretty simple. You start with about a foot-long piece of duct tape. You rip that off, and you find a flat surface, maybe a door, maybe a wall, maybe even your leg if you get experienced enough at it. And you put that horizontally and spread it on flat. Then you take another piece, about a foot again, and rip that off. And then you put this piece vertically, overlapping. Now this is how you start your square. So you want kind of a 90-degree angle. And now I'll work my way through this entire square, going back and forth between horizontal and vertical. And for each piece that I do, I'm going to overlap it with the piece above it or next to it about an inch. This creates a grid pattern and makes the duct tape square really stable and makes it all stick together. Alright, now that you have a full square, you can kind of trim off the excesses, edges, and you want to cut the corners as well to make it fit over the horse's foot better. So I'll start by just kind of peel it up off the wall, and then you kind of just want to clip off all your extras. This doesn't have to be a super straight line or anything like that. Same with this, kind of peel up, and they should stick together. You might be able to rip it as well. Okay, and then once you finish with that, you want to take your corners and cut into the middle, kind of on an angle, about 5 to 6 inches. So just kind of take it like that. You want to think about almost making like a star shape with your cuts. Like so. There we go. And now this will make it easier to shape around the horse's foot later, but for right now we can just leave it on the wall, as then we don't have to deal with it and juggle it and things like that, because obviously it's very sticky. Now that you've finished your square, you're ready to gather all of your other materials. So what you're going to need is a diaper, some vet wrap, and some sort of salve or something like that to help with the foot injury or foot problem that you're having. Here we have Epsom salts and ichthymol, and both of these are good for possibly like abscesses, or if you're trying to give the hoof a little bit more of a cushion for the horse to step on or something like that. But if a horse loses a shoe and you're putting a hoof wrap on it, you do not need to put any sort of material in the hoof. You just have to wrap it. So to start, all you have to do is get your diaper ready, and you want to make sure that you figure out which side the sticky parts are on, as then you can orient yourself with the horse's hoof. And then you pick up the hoof, oh boy, and you want to, sometimes you can kind of rest it like this, and you would then, right now, you would put in something if you were going to put something in. I won't do that right now, just because we want to save materials. And then you can literally just put the diaper on, right on the hoof. And usually the diapers fit the hoof quite nicely. And so you can push it around like this, and then take the sticky parts and secure it on like this, just like that. And then you can use your vet wrap, and you're gonna take your vet wrap and wrap it around the hoof. And this is to make sure that the diaper stays in place. So you wanna start coming around the hoof like this, and then you just want to cover everything, so you can kind of come up at an angle, and you would usually want more vet wrap than this. However, we're running a little low on supplies in the keeper cabinet, so I'm just going to make it work just like this. If I were actually wrapping this hoof, I would use a lot more material to really make sure that everything is really secure. So we're going to put that back down, and then we're going to take our tape square, and I like to put my hand right in the middle, because then that gives my brain a way to gauge how to put the hoof that right in the middle. So you take it, pick up the hoof again, and you kind of stick it right on, just like that. And like I said before, this is really big, but bigger is always better in my opinion, because you can always cut access off, but you can't always add more on. So then, from where we cut, we bend those corners around the hoof, like so. Just like that. And then you can have the horse put the foot back down. Then you can take your scissors, and anywhere where the duct tape is touching the horse's hoof, you want to cut that abscess off, because we don't want it to irritate the horse's skin or hoof area at all. So we can just carefully take our scissors and cut any access. Like so. And then everything else is really secure, and it's all good.